Hello, hi everyone. Hope all is well. J'espère que tout va bien et bienvenido a Guatemala. Espero que estás bien, mis amigos. Bueno, so I will do this video in English because most of the people I'm trying to reach out to and need to hear this are English. Mis amigos en Guatemala saben todo. But my family, my friends, they're still sort of living in the matrix. And I've been trying to figure out a way to have a conversation with them, but it seems that there's an ideological possession and an indoctrination that has overtaken half my family and half my friends. And so we're going through a culture war. We're going through an information war, a Cold War, soon to be a civil war. And I can't even have a conversation with my mom. I mean, it's crazy. So, where to start? Maybe addressing the Trump derangement syndrome. But I think, firstly, we need to discuss who our puppet masters really are. If you don't know who the Trilateral Group is, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Davos Group, George Soros, what Bill Gates has been doing for the past 30 years. Right now, there's this gated institutional narrative, the gin, not to become too sociological, and a distributed information suppression complex, the DISC. And there's sort of a break, a glitch in that system, and there's some truth coming out. But the reality is, since 2015, 2010, they have ramped up the propaganda to a level that is so high. It's scary. Right now, we're living in the matrix. We're living in a simulation, a color revolution, where the CIA and nefarious global elites have implemented a mockingbird lockstep, project on the human population, on the American and Canadian and English population in particular. Why I suggest becoming a polyglot, because you understand more once you see what other countries and other languages and other people are saying. Living in Guatemala, it gives you a completely different perspective. One where the entire population here doesn't trust their government to save their lives. And so, I wonder, this is to my woke friends, to my social justice warrior friends. I still am a real social justice warrior. In Guatemala, in a machista, sexist, third world country, of course I'm a feminist. But right now, feminism in my country has become a tool for the oligarchy, for the patriarchy. And my feminist friends would never want to hear this, because they're being used and manipulated, just like the right and the left are being used and we're being divided. because that's the best strategy: divide and conquer. Our politicians have been captured. Our global elites are pathetic. And this is the other hard part that my family has had so much trouble accepting, even though I've sent them the proof 2.5 years ago. You know, we're on the wrong side. And it's not even about sides. It's about understanding that this is pantomime. This is theater. That at the moment we're going through a forced revolution and the systematic and purposeful destruction of the American empire. We will be going through a Bretton Woods moment. We are looking at the birth of a new asset class, cryptocurrency, which has never happened in our lifetimes or our great grandparents' lifetimes. So I mean, that's, I guess, a positive thing, maybe, or else it could be another system of control. Now what does the red pill represent? This whole cringy matrix, you know, new term that everybody uses. It's just, I get it. Red pill, white pill, orange pill, blue pill, black pill. It's annoying. It's simplistic, but in this particular case, it has use. So, the red pill is probably the most important thing for you to take. Because, first of all, arguing any argument on the left, you seem retarded. Because you don't know what the right is saying. I'm doing this video to bridge the gap between Boogalooville and Wokistan, Proud Boy Town and Antifa Hell, or Ville. We have these radical extreme groups that are two sides of the same coin. It's not a left and right diametrically opposed system, but it's, well, it could be considered a U. And us moderates, us, you know, reasonably minded and educated people can't even have a discussion about it. Because there is no freedom of speech. I mean, I've left my country because I saw it coming. And nobody believed me. Everybody thought I was crazy. And look at me now. You know, the vaccine passports, the mask mandates, the lockdown wave after wave. You know, I've always been connected. I've always had friends that are, you know, heads of states or the daughters of heads of states or the CIA dudes. And they told me all this stuff, and I didn't believe them. I mean, I get it. I mean, me even talking about this type of stuff gives someone cognitive dissonance. Most of the things I say triggers you instantly. And so it's sort of hard to navigate this without shutting down any cognitive reasoning from the left. Because look, I am a leftist. I'm a sociologist. My thesis is on the social construction of sexuality in different cultures. I think that's where I first became red-pilled, when I saw the globalization of the deregulated marketplace when it comes to dating. And I saw how that is detrimental to society. And then I saw how our education systems have become corrupted and infiltrated with neo-Marxist and postmodern philosophies that are extremely dangerous. Then I saw that our pharmaceutical and medical wings were being corrupted. I saw that the Canadian healthcare system had been hollowed out. We saw my American counterparts dealing with ridiculous medical bills. I saw that virtually every single institution that has ever functioned has ceased to function, has stopped working. And essentially, it is like watching the Weimar Republic, the fall of Rome, the rise of the Reichstag, Myanmar, Ukraine. The CIA has taken out 151. I mean, this is all freedom of information, FOIA stuff. They took out 151 leaders. Coups, manipulation, rigging of elections. I mean, the Americans have been the sort of empire's military right arm. And the CIA has been directing, the world government stage forever. Now, why am I talking about all this? Why am I going to be... Oh. Hey, sweetie pie. This is Caramello. He's a sweetie. He's a good dog. Okay. Oh. And this. Oh. This is Kobe. Hey, Kobe. Say hello. Okay. Okay. So I'll stop eating my plants. Anyway. So, we have to start looking at things as not left or right, as not extreme. We have to look at our government and our elites as our enemies, unfortunately, because most of them have been captured, or corrupted, or ideologically possessed. And the thing that is the hard part is that this has all been planned decades ago. I mean, it's why George Orwell and Aldous Huxley and David Icke had predicted all of this too. I mean, it's terrifying. And the reality is that I always thought the Canadian culture was the best, the most superior. We were like the snooty little neighbors north of the American border. And don't worry, I know what side my bread is buttered on. I'm half American as well. But the reality is I didn't realize how lost we were, how multiculturalism was not working, or more how it got corrupted, just like every other institution, just like hip-hop, just like, the toy industry, just like Hollywood, just like everything sort of. And the hard part is, and you won't even believe me when I explain why, and it will take me a while to get there, so be patient. So once you start taking the red pill, and once you start realizing that each one of these institutions are failing, and during my lifetime, I don't think I've known these institutions to even be functional. And then you start realizing that there's a purposeful indoctrination of your children. When your friends start holding off on deciding the sex and gender of their newborn baby because they want to wait until he can make the decision, or C or Zer or whatever. Oh, God. I mean, it's... When you're trying to do gender-bending stuff, I mean, this is, Well, Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. When you're looking at the expansion of this huge military force, overtaxation, inflation, when you're seeing your friends spout out extremely radical ideas that are essentially racist, and when this tribal groupthink has taken over the public discourse, and it's the reality is because they won't allow any other real discourse to happen. You know that 80% of my YouTube subscribers are just wiped off and these are liberal leftist thinkers. These are not like Republican, right-wing, neo-Nazi, but they're censoring the real truth. 2 years ago I was saying there was a lab leak. I've been saying all this stuff, and it's like watching the future. I can't express the fear and concern if if a much larger size of the population doesn't wake up now. It's going to be a serious problem. And so that's why I'm making this video, because people need to wake up. When you're putting on masks that lower your immune system by 20% and 17%, and then putting on another one, and then wearing it in your car, and then wearing it in your house, and then just fear. Understand it's a system of control. Understand that's part of a plan. It's all part of the Great Reset. I've been saying this shit for years, and I think, there's a global quantum financial reset, and this pandemic is being used to cover it up. It's being used to cover up a lot of stuff. And the reality is that we need to get to the truth, and the truth needs to be discussed. And, when 90% of the media is owned by 6 people, it's obviously being censored. When we're living in a neo-feudal, technocratic, serfdom, in the age of gangster politics, where it's literally like a Bush-Clinton dynasty, and then, these guys, have you really investigated Pizzagate? Have you looked at Jeffrey Epstein? Do you understand what the Franklin Bank scandal is? Do you understand who is running our lives? I've been around these people. I've seen the uber rich. It's weird because I've been a social worker and I've worked with the poorest of poor. And then when I was rich and a successful entrepreneur, the richest of rich. And, we live in a system that propagates sociopaths to the top. There's an actual infrastructure in place vis-a-vis or via, secret societies and Masons and Knights of Templar and all these, 33rd degree Freemasons are implementing a plan that is extremely dystopian in nature. This is the stuff out of books. When fiction is, when reality is stranger than fiction, right? It's heartbreaking that I can't even say this type of stuff out loud in my country, because I'm a cisgendered, white, privileged male. And I spend years working with at-risk minorities and youths, and I'm not allowed to talk about it in my own country, because my opinion is not allowed. I liken it to Douglas Murray. Uh, and I'm sorry if I'm borrowing a lot. Jordan Peterson, Eric Weinstein. I will put a list of people that I will be quoting from. Coleman Hughes. You know, Canada was this sort of perfect utopia that was reaching, you know, a colorblind, non-racist, egalitarian society. And then that train just went straight off the rails and started killing everybody. You know, I'm terrified because the ideas that are being used, the ideas that are being pushed in elementary schools, the books, feminist baby. um, I mean, I walked out of university completely indoctrinated and hating myself for being a white male. And Canada does not have the same racist history that the States does. If anything, it's our native population that should be in an uproar. How can we have a functional society? How can we even start functional relationships if half the population is a victim? You know what it's like dating here in Guatemala compared to Canada or the States? I mean, it's just, oh God, I thought I was going crazy. I honestly did. Like, thank God I started looking for videos and help, and I took the red pill, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what going, oh, okay, ah. You know, I think the red pill is more important for women because they are their own worst enemy. They are making decisions that are so detrimental to their future. And frankly, they've lost the ability to pair bond. And that's really the hard part. To accept that that's my people. My own white Anglo-Saxon Protestant woman won't date me. And I am, you know, I don't have problems. But I've tried online dating. Got like 1,000 matches in a day. And none of them were white women. Or they were, but they were Jewish and Polish and Russian. But when it came to sort of liberal, educated, white, waspy women, I could not get a date with one to save my life. Don't know why. Hundreds of messages in my inbox, and then I was like, okay, that's weird. And then when I finally did, it was like sitting down with someone that hates you, that thinks you're the enemy, that lists off that we're in a rape culture. No, Guatemala is a rape culture. Canada is not. Look, there are systemic problems, there are inequalities, but this is the problem, is that the life in the world is not fair. And you have to look at the statistics and the numbers. Look at what people are saying. Quebec has the highest suicide rate of young men in the world. 80% of men are incels now. 20% of men get some, 5% actually get laid all the time. Yay for me. But I have friends that are virgins and are my age. The 40-year-old virgin was a joke movie. Now it's a real thing. When 28% of the male population is not able to pass on their genetic seed, when 80% of the population is completely rejected by women. There's a imbalance that is destroying the society.